Are you the reserved guest I was hoping to speak with? I have something important to discuss with you. Would you mind sparing a moment? As I was about to enter the restaurant, a woman in a chef's attire, with a tense expression, approached me. I was curious about what she wanted to confer regarding my meal. As I listened to her, I was hit with a shocking revelation that made me go pale. My name is Emily Thompson, 31 years old, working in the advertising industry. I work hard to create better advertisements. A challenging but rewarding job. My husband, whom I met through work, is named John. He's a year older than me, and we've been married for a year. As a dual income household, we share our household chores and manage our lives quite efficiently. Initially, our interactions were work-related, but over time we started having more personal conversations and grew closer. I realized we had similar interests and values, and I started developing feelings for him. When our collaborative project was coming to an end, fearing that we might not see each other often afterward, I mustered the courage and confessed my feelings to him. Although I've dated before, this was the first time I ever confessed my feelings to someone. I was nervous, but he accepted my feelings, and we started dating. After a year, he proposed, and we got married. Before marriage, John revealed that he had been previously married and divorced. They were married for about a year, had no children, and mutually decided to part ways due to differing values. It seemed like John regretted not being able to make his previous marriage work. He seemed a bit reserved when it came to love, probably because of his past experience. I understood. As long as there were no lingering issues, I didn't mind his past. It wasn't about wanting happiness for marriage, but wanting to live my life alongside John. So I accepted the fact that John was divorced and went ahead with the wedding. Our married life was filled with happiness, but slowly, the real implications of John being divorced began to unravel. After our wedding, we moved to an apartment close to both our workplaces. John's parents live nearby, and we get along well. Our married life has been smoother than I anticipated. Initially, I had concerns about living so close to my in-laws, fearing potential conflicts, but they were always kind to me. Given our work schedules, John and I hardly have time during the weekdays. Still, we make the most of our weekends together. We both enjoy eating and often cook dishes we want to try at home. Ideally, dining out would be great. But I have an allergy to fruits from the Rosaceae family, so I can't casually eat out. Even when I think a dish doesn't contain these fruits, they might be used as a hidden ingredient, making it tedious to constantly check with restaurants. Even a slight touch causes my skin to turn red and swell. I feel bad asking about ingredients at restaurants and have developed an aversion to dining out due to this. I developed this allergy as an adult, and initially, I was taken aback since I hadn't anticipated it. I reminisce about a time when I used to indulge in strawberries frequently. However, my joy turned to despair when my mouth swelled up during an allergic reaction, making breathing difficult. Subsequent hospital tests revealed my allergy to fruits from the Rosaceae family, eliminating favorites like strawberries, apples, pears, and peaches from my diet. Encountering hidden allergens in seemingly safe foods discouraged me from dining out and made me wary of ready-made meals or snacks, introducing an element of stress into my life. Possibly influenced by the initial severe reaction and the sorrow of abandoning my beloved fruits, I became excessively cautious, meticulously checking ingredients during meals with my husband while we were dating. Though my constant checks made me feel apologetic, I couldn't find ease without thorough confirmation. Despite this, my husband and I continued to enjoy our love for food by selecting ingredients and cooking together, alleviating my excessive worries. Thankfully, both my husband and his parents understood my allergies, easing the mental burden I felt after getting married. My mother-in-law, especially, with her profound understanding of allergies due to her father's severe wheat allergy, went above and beyond to ensure meals were safe for me. She researched my allergy, taking extra precautions during our meals together, whether at home or when dining out. Her reassurance, "You shouldn't have to be scared during meals. I'll make sure everything is safe for you," nearly brought me to tears. I developed a strong and nurturing relationship with my in-laws, particularly my mother-in-law, who treated me like her own daughter. The initial concerns I had about my allergies had vanished. One day, after a successful work project earned me a promotion, I shared the joyous news with my family, who were all thrilled, especially my mother-in-law. During our time together, she generously invited me to celebrate at an upscale restaurant. Hesitant about the extravagant gesture, I expressed concern about the restaurant's frequent use of fruits from the Rosie family, to which she insisted on treating me genuinely happy about my promotion. Her sentiment touched my heart, but I hesitated. The upscale restaurant, located in a luxurious hotel nearby, was a place I had always dreamt of visiting since my student days. However, my reservations were not only about its opulence, but also the restaurant's consistent use of fruits from the Rosie family, to which I am allergic. Despite having informed restaurants of my allergy in the past when dining out with my mother-in-law, each time was met with a mix of cautiousness and uncertainty. I grappled with guilt whenever I had to request accommodations for my dietary restrictions, so we typically chose restaurants that rarely featured my allergenic foods. Concerned that informing this particular restaurant about my allergy might inconvenience them due to their frequent use of those fruits, I hesitated. While dishes without these fruits were deemed safe, the thought of potential cross-contamination in the kitchen unsettled me. Ultimately, I declined the offer due to my apprehensions about a potential allergic reaction. Despite my reservations, my mother-in-law was enthusiastic about the idea. "I'll inform them about the allergy when I make the reservation. Don't worry, I also have a connection there, so they'll take good care of us," she assured me. Surprised by this revelation, I had never heard either her or my husband mention this connection before. However, I assumed it wasn't something she boasted about. Intrigued by her excitement and genuinely interested in the restaurant's cuisine, we decided to have lunch there together, trusting in my mother-in-law's considerate approach to my allergies. Feeling relieved, I thought there was nothing for me to worry about since she had taken care of the reservation. When I shared the news with my husband, he was surprised by his mother's connections at the restaurant. He also mentioned the restaurant's occasional inclusion of fruit in their dishes, appreciating their consideration for allergies. When I informed him that my mother-in-law had already conveyed my allergies during the reservation, and that they would take precautions, he seemed relieved. "It's a celebration of your promotion, right? Make sure to enjoy yourself," he urged, sensing my anticipation for this special day. Initially hesitant due to my allergies, I had always admired the restaurant. Excitement filled me as the day I had eagerly awaited approached. Taking a half-day off on a weekday, I planned to head straight to the high-end restaurant. Opting for a more formal outfit than usual, I paid extra attention to my appearance. Colleagues noticed my attire and inquired about my plans. As I shared details of the upcoming meal, they wished me a good time before I left the office with excitement. Upon entering the hotel, I found my mother-in-law already waiting. The two of us made our way to the restaurant on the first floor, where our reservation ensured prompt seating. Although our reservation was for 1:00 p.m., the bustling lunchtime crowd meant there might be a slight delay in service. Understanding the popularity of the high-end restaurant, I decided to order drinks for the time being and wait patiently. Having finished work and spurred on by my mother-in-law's encouragement, I opted for champagne. As we waited for our meal, we engaged in delightful conversation. While I had tasted champagne before, the one I had that day seemed to surpass all others. The effects of the alcohol, combined with the anticipation of dining at a cherished restaurant, had me in high spirits. Observing the dishes at neighboring tables only heightened my eagerness for the culinary experience ahead. The sight of the delectable dishes heightened my anticipation for the upcoming meal. Suddenly, my phone rang from within my bag, reminding me that I hadn't turned it off during the meal with my mother-in-law. Attempting to silence it, I noticed the incoming call was from work, instantly sobering me up. Concerned about a potential issue, I excused myself from my mother-in-law and stepped out of the restaurant to answer the call, ensuring privacy for any sensitive information. The call pertained to a document I had submitted earlier that day, and my colleague urgently sought clarification. Relieved that it wasn't due to an error on my part, I addressed their questions and concluded the call within about 5 minutes. As I prepared to return and relished my meal, an unfamiliar woman, dressed as a chef from the restaurant's kitchen, approached me in a rushed manner. With a concerned expression, she urgently instructed me to leave the hotel immediately, stating it was dangerous to go back to the restaurant. Intrigued and suspicious, I sought clarification, and upon understanding the situation, I swiftly hopped into a waiting taxi and headed home. Later that evening, my mother-in-law called, expressing fury about my abrupt departure from the hotel without explanation, causing embarrassment as she had reserved a special course for our celebration. Her anger, unlike anything I had witnessed before, took me by surprise. Previously perceiving her as kind and gentle, her current demeanor made me question that belief. While I expected her to be upset if I left without saying anything, her furious yelling, intense and relentless, fueled doubts. She berated me, even criticizing my parents and how they raised me, making me question my suitability as her son's wife. In the midst of her tirade, I remained silent, contemplating the unexpected turn of events. Despite her anger, a part of me still clung to the belief that the kind and concerned mother-in-law I had known would express worry about my well-being. As her outburst continued, I couldn't help but wonder if the rumors circulating about her had some truth to them. Eventually, after a prolonged scolding, she seemed to calm down, though still visibly upset. I cautiously raised a question, breaking the tense atmosphere. You mentioned informing the restaurant about my allergies when you made today's reservation, ensuring I could relax. However, it seems the restaurant wasn't aware of my allergies, and I ended up with allergenic ingredients in both the main courses and the dessert. These ingredients were concealed in marinades and sauces, not immediately apparent. The woman who approached me earlier took the reservation call from you, my mother-in-law, and mentioned that no mention of my allergies had been conveyed. She explained that, upon noticing the allergy badge on my bag, she decided to double-check. As the chef responsible for our meal that day, she immediately recognized the presence of allergenic ingredients. She emphasized that had she not intervened, I would have unknowingly consumed the allergens, leading to a severe allergic reaction. Initially, I hesitated to believe that my mother-in-law would intentionally expose me to allergens. However, the woman's sincerity and the fact that she took time from her busy schedule to inform me quickly convinced me. The revelation took an unexpected turn as she disclosed her knowledge of my mother-in-law's true nature. Surprisingly, she deduced that my mother-in-law was the ex-wife of my husband, and she now worked under her maiden name, Kate Young. Recognizing me as the new wife, she decided to help me. She explained that, having been through a similar experience, she believed my mother-in-law wouldn't have female friends, especially someone of a similar age, after getting married to my husband. The woman shared her own experience of mistreatment when she lived with my husband's parents before they married. Despite initially perceiving my mother-in-law as gentle and kind, she faced constant criticism for her housework and snide remarks when my husband or father-in-law wasn't around. Even with her culinary skills, acquired from attending a professional cooking school, the mother-in-law found faults in her dishes, sometimes discarding them. Feeling trapped and unable to gather evidence, the ex-wife fled through divorce, later using her culinary license to secure employment at the restaurant where she currently worked. As she matured into a seasoned chef, my mother-in-law discovered her working there and started frequenting the restaurant. Realizing her ex-daughter-in-law's presence, she discreetly demanded discounts, leveraging past traumas. The connection my mother-in-law spoke of referred to the ex-wife, who had silently endured the mistreatment and humiliation for years. When I questioned my mother-in-law about why she hadn't communicated my allergies to the restaurant, she feigned ignorance, insisting, "I knew about your allergies, so I must have told them. Maybe it's the staff's oversight." In her defensive stance, she shifted the blame onto the restaurant staff, suggesting that it might be their mistake. However, Given that the reservation call was handled by the ex-wife, who was currently working at the restaurant, it seemed plausible that my mother-in-law deliberately omitted mentioning the allergies, intending to later blame the staff. Aware of the restaurant's strict guidelines on allergies and their record-keeping practices for dispute resolutions, I was quick to see through her game. I confronted her, emphasizing that, if properly informed, the restaurant would have accommodated my dietary needs, and the recorded calls could easily verify who was at fault. Faced with this revelation and the prospect of recorded evidence, my mother-in-law, who hadn't anticipated such documentation, fell silent. Persisting, I asked, "You've always been cautious about my allergies. Why did you not mention them this time until now?" Despite her previous concern for my allergies, she remained silent for a moment. When she finally spoke, it was a shocking revelation. "I despise you. You outshine me, and you deserve some pain." Her envy stemmed from my workplace recognition and popularity in the neighborhood, which fueled her resentment. Baffled by her unexpected outburst, I sought an explanation, questioning why she would act in such a manner. After a brief silence, she defiantly shouted her disdain, confirming her jealousy. Shocked by her behavior, I decided to collect evidence to reveal her true nature. In a carefully planned move, I informed my parents of the situation and had John join us. When she called later, I switched the call to speaker and recorded the conversation, capturing her incriminating statements. This revelation caught her off guard, and in a shaky voice, she asked, "Wait, is John there with you?" Unbeknownst to her, John had been silently gathering evidence. He confirmed that he had heard everything and expressed his disbelief and anger. Ignoring her excuses, he declared his estrangement from her. My parents indicated their intention to sue her for attempted murder, and John cut off the call, disregarding her pleas. When John informed his father about the incident, he was furious, leading to the suggestion of divorce. Eventually, they threw her out of the house. With no relatives to rely on, no income, and being a housewife, she pleaded and cried, prompting her husband to provide a basic apartment for her. However, lacking the drive to work, she clung to both John and me, demanding money. We firmly rejected her, urging her to earn it herself. Subsequently, rumors suggested she found work at a nearby supermarket, but appeared disheveled and struggled on her own. I hoped she would work hard to support herself and pay us the compensation. Her nasty attitude made her unwanted in our lives. The underlying reason for her actions became clear: jealousy. She wanted to see me suffer because I had surpassed her in status and popularity. John's ex-wife, who had previously endured mistreatment, became a supportive friend. Despite initially missing the signs of bullying, John apologized to her. She assured him that she was over it and was currently dating someone, ending their conversation on a peaceful note. Settling matters with my mother-in-law, John and his father threw me a promotion party, marking a new chapter where I could focus on my career without worrying about her.